Today I want to share some time management tip for you guys because I know it's back to school season and a lot of you are going back to school, or you might just be working as usual and you want some time management tip, which is totally fine because you all need to work on that sometimes, right? So today I'm going to start off by saying that it's not necessarily about time management, it's about attention management, because the reality is all the same 24 hours in a day. And you guys know it's an excuse to say I don't have enough time. I know we might feel like we never have enough time, but look, everyone's had the same amount of time a day, and some people get more done than others, and that's just the reality of it. So you can't say that you don't have the time. It's more that you don't make the time. So there's a quote that says something like, if something is important to you, you will make the time. If it's not important to you, you're going to make up an excuse. And for the most part, you have to be real with yourself. Are you making up an excuse to not put time toward this thing? And if that thing is really important to you, then you have to learn how to make the time for it. So my first trip is relating to the fact that it's about attention management. It's not time management. So you have to manage your attention. Nowadays, I know we all get distracted from social media, the internet, or just with random things that are fill up our day with because you're procrastinating. We don't want to focus on doing the things that are really important, so we turn our attention to do things that are less important, things that don't really matter. So you have to learn to be aware of where you putting your attention to when you're procrastinating. So learn to cut off your social media when you really need to get work done. Put your phone away. That really helped me in a lot of situations to just put my phone in another room or on airplane mode. And if you find that you gravitate towards certain activity when you're procrastinating, for example, maybe you like to clean when you're procrastinating, that's like productive procrastination. Other people like to eat when they are procrastinating because you think you are bored and you just going to eat instead of doing your work. So whatever is it that you do when you are procrastinating, find a way to either cut it out, cut it off, or put a post-it notes in that location to remind you not to do that. For example, putting a post-it note in the fridge telling you, hey, if you're not really hungry, get back to work. The next big concept you must understand is it far more important to be effective rather than efficient. So being effective means you are doing the right things. You are doing the important things. Being efficient just means you're doing something really fast or really efficiently, or you could efficient doing busy work, but that's not effective. Being effective is doing the difficult, hard, important work. So it's far more important to do what's effective rather than what's efficient. So how do you know what to do when you want to be effective rather than being efficient? So I want to introduce this for quadrant system that comes from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So you break down these 4 quadrants into urgent, not urgent, important, not important. So it turns out that there are 4 quadrants. The first quadrants are things that are urgent and important. The second quadrant are things that are not urgent and not important. The third quadrant are things that are not important and urgent. Then fourth is not important and not urgent. So Most suburbs spend the most time in quadrant 1, which I think just are urgent and important. So these things are like pressing deadlines, crisis, things that we must like fix right away because they are important and urgent. And it's kind of like you are putting out fire constantly. Things that are popping up and you're like, oh my god, so how to do it? Oh my god, this deadline is approaching. I have to do that. You cramming for that. You pulling out to finish some person. Things like that. The reality is, if you're spending too much time in question 1 on things that are more important and urgent, it means that you are going about life in a very reactive way. You kind of maybe procrastinating and you waiting till the last minute until the thing must get done, and then you're like, oh my god, now I have to do it. So instead of being reactive and putting yourself in the position to avoid be putting out fires, you want to spend more time in quadrant 2, which are things that are important but not urgent. So things that are in quadrant 2 are planning, preparation, relationship building, learning, investing in yourself in some way. If those things that are not super urgent, but in a bigger picture, they're actually very important for your success. So you want to spend more time on like planning and preparing and doing all the things that you might be putting off. So you save yourself from having to do so much in question 1. You save yourself from all the crises and important things that pop up. So the key here is learn to transition and focus more of the time on things in that question 2, things that are important but not necessarily urgent. So let's also talk about quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So quadrant 3, I think that's urgent but not important. So lots of things can seem urgent, but they are not really important, like emails, phone calls, certain people popping up asking you for a favor, asking you to do something for them, reports, sometimes meeting. So you have to be able to recognize this thing is really important. I know it seems urgent, but it's not really important to my goal. And this is why it's really important to really know what your goals and intentions are before even starting to change things, because you want to know what's important to you, what's not your priority. One way to put that into action is do not spend your morning replying to email, because I know a lot of people have the habit of like checking email in the morning and then replying because they feel like once they read the email they should reply right away. Like you have to use your time wisely. So use the morning time, the time when you must active and awake, to do important thing first, so that you can spend another time slot later to check email and reply to email. When you do that, you learn to build up that willpower to focus on what's important rather than impulsively trying to respond to what seems urgent to you at the moment. So the four quadrants are things that are not urgent and not important. So these are like trivial things like busy work, activities that you use to escape what you have to do, like browsing social media, watching TV, watching Netflix, watching YouTube, all of that like time waster. That's what quadrant 3 is about. So we all spend our time in like the four quadrant, but now you have to wait like a way to outline them. Maybe you can even do this for yourself, like draw a quadrant and put into activity that you typically do or typically have to do. And then you can get a clear sense of like, okay, what really important, what should I focus on, which is the current 2, and then learn to focus less time on current 3 and 4. So hopefully that gives you a good framework on how you can prioritize your tasks and manage your time. So the whole lesson of this is to learn to put first thing first. Learn to always do the most important task first, because you move on to all the other lesser important tasks. And like I said earlier, make sure you're doing things that are important and not urgent. And obviously you have to do the things that are important and urgent, but in order to save you from stressing out over these crises, focus more on preparing and all of that research, the important work that needs to get done. So once you figure out what are important things for you to do, it's time to schedule them in your calendar. So I do love to do this, but I do feel like sometimes you can ignore something on the to-do list for like a long time, which is not that great, especially if these things are not urgent. So what I find is important to schedule and these things that are important but not urgent into your calendar, so that you make it urgent, to make it something that you must do once you get to that time. So find time in your calendar, make space for these tasks, and just schedule it in so that you actually do it. Personally, for me, I like to schedule things on a week-to-week basis. So I'll take a look at my upcoming week and then find the time slot where I'm free, and then start scheduling in things that I must get done. So I just make time for it throughout my week. Another point is that's really important that I always like to say. I always try to batch my similar tasks together. So time batching is something in productivity that is so helpful and so life-changing. So what it means is simply put all the similar tasks together, do them together at the same time. So for me, I shoot all at once. I try to shoot multiple videos at once. When I edit so that one, I do email all at once. I plan my video all at once. I don't try to like switch from one start to another. I try not to have too much open. I'm guilty of that sometimes, but I try not to just keep switching, because there's something called context switching. I believe you waste like 20% of your time switching from doing one task to another, because your brain just needs to like get warmed up and used to the new task. So if you constantly like switching tasks, you don't allow your brain to reach flow state. It's just a mental state. When you're performing at your best, you're performing really well. It feels like time is flying by because you're so in results. So if you want to be able to reach flow state, which is your most productive state, then you want to be able to focus on one type of task at a time. That way you reduce the amount of context switching that you have to do. So after I plan out everything in my schedule, I have to decide how I'm going to pass my tasks together. I still like to have the daily plan on a piece of paper at my desk. So previously, a couple of years ago, I would always have the post-it note where I would write my most important tasks for a day, and then eventually I developed my own system, which is now in the daily planner that I sell on my website. So if you haven't seen the daily planner, layout start out with setting an intention for the day. So I like to set how I want to feel and what I want to focus on, and then I plan out the 3 most important tasks that I want to do in that day. So these are the 3 things that, if I will only do 3 things in my day, I would be happy and satisfied. That's the most important task. And then I leave some space for extra to do, and usually those extra to do I don't get to the work. Sometimes I even transfer them to the next day most important task, but I like to have them in there so I can see. And then the surface because also really important for me to keep up with my daily habits. And then at the end of the day, there's space for gratitude and celebrating the day's wins. So this is what I use almost every single day to plan out my work day. I literally leave my planner open on my desk at all times. And if there are ever time where I have to leave and go out and do some stuff like running some errand and do some meeting, I will take a picture of the page so that I can see my to-do list from the daily plan. Because for me, I really need to break things down as much as possible. Even though I have my priority, my bigger, and even my weekly schedule, it really helped for me to put it into one sheet of paper to look at everything today. And I think I almost just get that satisfaction of crossing something out on a piece of paper, because I'm kind of also I still like pen and paper. So since this is back to school season, I thought it'd be fun to do a little giveaway with daily planner, since I know lots of you will need to start planning your days with more meticulously. So if you're interested in winning a daily planner, you have the free winner, and we're going to run it on IG. So follow @shoplavender, and also follow my account @lavender, and then you have to follow a planner where you can leave a comment, and that's it. Your comment is your and try to win. We will be picking winner in 1 week, and we posted a story on the @shoplavender IG. So good luck. How you win the planner are amazing. I love this so much, and it's also it feels so nice and so plus. And FYI, I'm not changing the planner, and just gonna to stay like this for the same color, the same design. This one that I get updated every year in the Artist Supply workbook, and we really have 2020 version completed. I'm just waiting to launch it on November 1st. So if you're interested in that, just mark your calendars from November 1st. Get on our email list, because we always send a pre-sale to our email list first. So I'll have links to all of that down below, but I think that's not for today time management tips. What other tips do you have for us? Because I'm going interested in learning new tips, and even though I learn by putting first, do the most important task first. Once I learn about the quadrant concept, that really expanded my mind a little more, and it just made so much more sense to me, like working on things that are important and not necessarily urgent. Another thing you can check out if you want to hear more about attention management is my podcast with Jonathan Levy. So he an accelerated learner, so he gave a lot of tips on how to learn fast, which is helpful for school and also attention management. So he's the one that showed me that word attention management, and now I love it. It makes so much sense. I put link to the podcast down below as well. I hope you guys enjoy the end of the summer. Love you so much. Bye.